Chapter 2026. The young lady was being chased by the enemy. Although Lu Ming looked young and might not be that strong, as long as he could hold them off for a while, she would have a better chance of escaping. "I'm sorry, but I don't have the strength to help you." Lu Ming shook his head and retreated even faster, pulling away from the beautiful lady. Seeing that Lu Ming wasn't willing to help her, the beautiful lady could only grit her teeth and fly in another direction. Before she left, she glared at Lu Ming, as though blaming Lu Ming for not helping her. Lu Ming rubbed his nose. His goal was to go to the ancient devil nation. He didn't want to be a busybody. In the blink of an eye, the beautiful lady disappeared from his sight. The pursuers behind her also chased after her. To Lu Ming, this was just a small interlude. He continued on his way and flew towards the nearest intermediate devil nation. After a few days, he finally arrived at the outskirts of the intermediate devil nation. This intermediate devil nation did have a teleportation circle. "Where do you want to go?" A burly man in charge of the teleportation circle asked Lu Ming. "I want to go to the capital of the ancient devil nation." Lu Ming said. "The capital of the ancient devil nation? Kid, aren't you from the land of infinite devils? Intermediate devil nations like us don't have the qualifications to teleport directly to the capital of the ancient devil nation. If you want to go to the capital, you have to go to a high-grade devil nation and go from there." The burly man said. There was such a rule? Lu Ming was speechless. It seemed like he could only go to a high-grade devil nation and go from there to the capital of the ancient devil nation. "Alright, I'll go to the high-grade devil nation first," Lu Ming said. "The nearest high-grade devil nation is the Yura Kingdom. I suggest you go to the Yura Kingdom first," the burly man said. "Alright, thank you." Lu Ming clasped his fists and paid the teleportation fee. He then stepped into the teleportation circle. In the next moment, Lu Ming disappeared from the teleportation array and arrived at another place. Lu Ming walked out of the teleportation circle and asked around. He found that he had already arrived in the Yura Kingdom. This was a citadel outside the capital of the Yura Kingdom. The Yura Kingdom is one of the top 10 devil kingdoms in the land of infinite demons. They are extremely powerful. Why don't I go to the capital of the Yura Kingdom and ask about the eternal devil kingdom? Lu Ming pondered. The Yura Kingdom was one of the top 10 devil kingdoms in the land of myriad devils. There was no need to doubt its strength. Lu Ming wanted to see just how strong the top forces of the land of myriad devils were. That way, he would be able to judge the overall strength of the land of myriad devils. Furthermore, even if he were to go to the capital of the ancient devil kingdom right now, he wouldn't know where to start. He couldn't just run to the capital of the ancient devil nation and yell that he wanted to borrow the ancient devil coffin, right? If he did that, he would be lucky if they didn't kill him. Therefore, he needed to plan for the long term. Thinking of this, Lu Ming did not go to the capital of the ancient devil nation. Instead, he flew to the capital of the Yura Kingdom. The capital of the Dark Azura Devil Kingdom was abnormally majestic, vast. Whether it was the city walls or the buildings inside, most of them were built with a kind of pitch-black stone that was filled with a domineering aura. Lu Ming walked on the streets of the Yura Kingdom and found that there were a lot of experts here. Each of them was emitting a demonic aura and a baleful aura. Lu Ming secretly observed and found that there were many Sage Realm experts and quasi-emperors. They could even see martial monarchs emitting emperors might walking on the streets. Lu Ming found that the quality of experts in the land of myriad devils was higher than in the primordial mountain. "Kid, it's you." Suddenly, a cold and arrogant voice sounded. At the same time, a cold aura shrouded Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming frowned. The voice just now was obviously targeted at him. However, he had just arrived in the Yura Kingdom and did not know anyone. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice. "It's her." Lu Ming was stunned. Not far away, a beautiful woman in a tight purple dress was looking at Lu Ming coldly. Wasn't this woman the one who was being chased a few days ago and asked Lu Ming for help? He did not expect to meet her here. This was too much of a coincidence. Lu Ming was speechless. The young woman's aura was very cold and it shrouded Lu Ming. It's the first princess. Who is that kid? He seems to have made the first princess unhappy. He's finished. Around them, many people stopped to watch and discussed. First princess. Lu Ming was speechless. Could this person be the first princess of the Yura kingdom? First princess, is this the person who left you in the lurch? There were a few people beside the beautiful woman. One of them was a young man. Yes, it's him. The first princess replied coldly. At that time, he was being chased by the enemy and met Lu Ming. He asked Lu Ming for help, but Lu Ming did not help him. Fortunately, he met with reinforcements later and escaped danger. He did not expect to meet Lu Ming in the Yura kingdom. Thinking of Lu Ming's attitude at that time, a cold light flashed in the first princess' eyes. Leaving the first princess in the lurch? I'll go and cripple him. Behind the first princess, a skinny old man said coldly. His figure moved and he rushed towards Lu Ming. A demonic palm print blasted towards Lu Ming, bringing gusts of wind with it. The first princess did not stop him. She just watched indifferently. Get lost! Lu Ming shouted coldly. He also blasted out a palm and collided with the skinny old man's palm. Boom! With a loud bang, the skinny old man's body shook violently. His body flew back at an even faster speed and fell to the ground, vomiting blood. Lu Ming had shown mercy. He had just arrived and did not want to cause trouble. Otherwise, the skinny old man would have been dead. Many people were shocked. That skinny old man was a supreme saint, but he was injured by Lu Ming in one move. This young man's combat power is not weak. Many people thought. How dare you fight back? You're courting death. The young man beside the first princess shouted coldly. His gaze was as cold as a blade. Whoosh! He took a step forward and rushed towards Lu Ming like a phantom. Lu Ming frowned, and a trace of anger rose in his heart. In the wilderness, he met the first princess. He was not related to the first princess, so why did he save her? It was his freedom to save her or not. But now, the other party wanted to cripple his cultivation and even kill him because of this. How domineering! Boom! The young man attacked. He also blasted out a palm. His palm power was like a landslide, pressing towards Lu Ming. This young man was very strong. He was many times stronger than the skinny old man. Not only had his cultivation reached the peak of the Supreme Saint realm, but he also had a superior spiritual body. Get lost! Lu Ming frowned and shouted. He also blasted out a palm. Dark lightning flashed in his palm. His palm collided with the other party's palm print. The result was almost the same as the skinny old man's. Chapter 2027. Many people were stunned as they looked at the young man who was twitching on the ground. This young man was no ordinary person. He was very famous in the Yura kingdom. He was the son of the Grand Marshal of the Yura kingdom. His name was Jipeng, and his name was known throughout the Yura kingdom. In the Yura kingdom, Jipeng was considered one of the top geniuses among the younger generation, except for a few people with king bodies. Someone once made a list of the top 10 geniuses in the Yura kingdom, except for those with king bodies. Jipeng was ranked 9th among the top 10 geniuses. Of course, Jipeng was ranked after the king body, but it was still not a trivial matter. But now, Jipeng was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. Lu Ming's strength was absolutely amazing. Who is this person? He looks very young, but he has such combat power. He's even stronger than Jipeng. Could it be that he has a king body? It's not a king body. When he attacked just now, there was a flash of demonic lightning. It should be the law of demonic lightning, not the king body. In the Yura kingdom, apart from those with king bodies, this person can be ranked in the top 10, or even the top 8. Some of the onlookers were whispering. That's right. Lu Ming did not use the law of primal chaos, nor did he use the law of array. Instead, he used the law of primal chaos to transform it into the law of demonic lightning. He used the law of demonic lightning to cover his saint power, making him look like a demonic cultivator. The eldest princess looked at Lu Ming with surprise. Lu Ming's strength was stronger than she had imagined. Whoosh! At this moment, Ji Peng turned over and stood up. Cold murderous intent erupted from his body as he roared, "Kid, I didn't use my full strength just now. Come again and I'll kill you." Ji Peng roared, and his aura became even more violent. Just now, he was careless and did not use his full strength. He did not even use his divine art, which was why he was sent flying by Lu Ming. Lu Ming frowned. He had already shown mercy, but the other party did not know when to back down. So, he could not blame him for not being polite. There was a glint in Lu Ming's eyes. "All right, stop." At this moment, the first princess's voice rang out, causing Ji Peng to freeze. "First princess, this person is too audacious. He even dares to hit the princess's people. Let me cripple him." Ji Peng's gaze was cold. He did not want to let Lu Ming off just like that. He didn't use his full strength just now. If we really fought, you might not be his match. Both of you would only suffer. You should leave first. I have something to ask him. The first princess said. "Eldest princess, let us leave." "What if this brat makes a move?" an old man said worriedly. "You think he can hurt me?" The first princess countered. The others didn't say anything. With the first princess's strength, how could this person hurt her? "Then take care of yourself, first princess." Ji Peng's eyes flickered a few times, and then he looked at Lu Ming and said, "Kid, consider yourself lucky today. I'll spare your life." After saying that, he led the others away. "Goodbye." Lu Ming cupped his fists and turned to leave. He instinctively felt that this eldest princess was not a good person, and he was too lazy to have anything to do with her. "Why are you in such a hurry to leave?" The grand princess moved and chased after Lu Ming like a ray of light. She was as light as a feather. Lu Ming frowned and soared into the sky. However, the first princess also soared into the sky and followed Lu Ming. "First princess, what are you trying to do?" Lu Ming stopped and asked with a frown. "Your strength is not bad. I can feel that even if Ji Peng used his full strength to fight with you just now, I'm afraid he wouldn't be your match. Join me and be my guest." The first princess spoke, her expression still carrying a trace of cold arrogance and loftiness. "Not interested." Lu Ming turned and left. "I won't let you be my guest forever. As long as you work for me in these 3 months, you can leave after 3 months." The first princess continued to speak, but Lu Ming had no intention of stopping. A cold light flashed in the first princess' eyes. If not for the fact that she was in urgent need of talents recently, she would have already attacked Lu Ming for treating her with such an attitude. "I won't let you do anything dangerous. I just want you to help me fight against the geniuses of the Yuluo Empire 1 month later. You can name any conditions you want." The first princess continued to follow. "Oh?" At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly stopped and looked at the first princess. "I can name any conditions. As long as it's not too much." The first princess said. "I want to know someone from the ancient Devil Nation's imperial family. Can you introduce me?" Lu Ming said. If the first princess could introduce someone from the ancient Devil Nation's imperial family to him, it would save him a lot of trouble and he could agree to it temporarily. Besides, the first princess only wanted to be his guest for 3 months and fight against the geniuses of the Yuluo Empire. This was not a big deal for Lu Ming, so there was no harm in agreeing. He. And here I thought it was something big. The Emperor of the Ionic Devil Kingdom just recently passed another tribulation of heaven and earth. In 3 months, he'll be holding a grand banquet. Countless devil kingdoms will be there to celebrate, and the Serene Azura Devil Kingdom will be there as well. Of course, we'll be able to recommend you. the first princess said. Lu Ming was overjoyed. The king of the ancient devil nation had just passed a great tribulation and was going to hold a grand banquet. This was an opportunity for Lu Ming. All right, I agree to be your guest, but only for 3 months. If you ask me to fight against martial monarchs, I can only refuse. Lu Ming said. Don't worry. Why would I ask you to fight against martial monarchs? Seeing Lu Ming agree, the first princess smiled. Take this guest elder token. A token appeared in the first princess' hand and she threw it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming caught it and put it away. Come with me to the first princess residence. I will arrange a place for you. The first princess said. Lu Ming nodded. The first princess residence was very spacious. The first princess arranged a courtyard for Lu Ming. It was very big and quiet. On the way, Lu Ming learned that the first princess' name was Yuning. After arranging a place for Lu Ming, the first princess left. In the next few days, Lu Ming secretly asked around and learned a lot. It turned out that when the Yura kingdom was founded, it was jointly founded by 2 great Devil Path clans. However, after the founding of the Yura kingdom, it became a problem as to which clan would be in charge of the Yura kingdom. It was stipulated that every 10,000 years, the 2 clans would send out geniuses of the younger generation to fight. The winner would continue to rule the Yura kingdom for 10,000 years. As for the first princess, Yuning, she belonged to the Yu family. The Yu family had been in control of the Yu Luo Devil Kingdom for 20,000 years. There was only a month left before the samsara that occurred once every 10,000 years arrived. The geniuses of the 2 great families would compete to determine which family would be in control of the Yu Luo Devil Kingdom. Therefore, the first princess Yuning had been secretly gathering geniuses to increase her strength. Chapter 2028. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days passed. In these 10 days, Lu Ming cultivated in peace in the first princess residence every day. Now, his law of primal chaos had reached 97%, and his law of array had reached 99%. It could be said that he was very close to perfection, but the closer he was to perfection, the harder it was to improve. Many people's laws stopped at 99% for hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years. Even the stellar river had stayed there for a long time. To break through, one needed to accumulate. When one's comprehension of the laws was enough, success would naturally follow naturally. On this day, while Lu Ming was cultivating, Ji Peng led a few people into the first princess residence with a gloomy face and walked towards the courtyard where Lu Ming lived. Ji Peng's identity was not trivial, so naturally, no one stopped him. After arriving at Lu Ming's courtyard, Ji Peng directly kicked the door open and walked in with a gloomy face. Lu Ming, get out here! Ji Peng shouted coldly. In the room, Lu Ming, who was cultivating, opened his eyes, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Lu Ming walked out of the room unhurriedly and saw Ji Peng looking at him coldly. More than 10 days ago, Lu Ming sent him flying with a palm in public, causing him to twitch on the ground and lose face. During this period, he had been brooding and looking for an opportunity to take revenge. Later, when he heard that Lu Ming had become the first princess guest, he was even more furious. After enduring for a few days, he finally couldn't help but look for Lu Ming. Kid, I know your purpose. You want to become the first princess guest and get close to her. Now I'll give you a chance, get out of the first princess residence. Ji Peng said coldly. The first princess asked you to come. Lu Ming said. There is no need for the first princess to instruct me on this matter. Ji Peng said. I'm the first princess guest, not yours. Since the first princess didn't ask, then who are you to make me leave? Lu Ming replied indifferently. These words caused Ji Peng's expression to become even gloomier. Brat, you'd better get out yourself. Otherwise, I'll break your limbs and throw you out. Ji Peng said coldly. Scram! Lu Ming coldly spat out a word. He had already lost his patience. Brat, what kind of attitude is that? How dare you speak to the second young master like that? I'll cripple you. Beside Ji Peng, a burly man rushed over and punched towards Lu Ming's dantian. He wanted to cripple Lu Ming's cultivation. The burly man was at the peak of the absolute saint realm. He punched out, and the terrifying fist force made the space around him shriek. Sizzle, Lu Ming circulated the law of primal chaos and converted it into the law of demonic thunder. Lightning swam around his body as though he was wearing a lightning armor. Whoosh! With a flash, Lu Ming punched out, meeting the burly man's fist. Sizzle, lightning spread out and instantly destroyed the burly man's attack. Black lightning covered the burly man's body, and he couldn't help but retreat. Then, Lu Ming stepped forward and slapped the burly man's body. The burly man was sent flying and fell to the ground, twitching non-stop. The eyes of Ji Peng and the others glistened. Lu Ming's combat strength was stronger than they had imagined. A peak absolute saint was defeated in 2 moves. Even Ji Peng himself might not be able to do so. Let's attack together. Ji Peng roared. His body was like a rock spreading its wings as he flew towards Lu Ming. He shook his arms and a mysterious light shone from them. They were like the wings of a rock or 2 heavenly blades. 2 rays of light shot out towards Lu Ming. This was his divine power. When he exchanged blows with Lu Ming the last time, he did not cast his divine power. At the same time, the other 2 moved as well. These 2 were peak absolute saints as well. They used their superpower to attack Lu Ming. Their attacks were ruthless. If Lu Ming couldn't defeat them, he would be killed. Give an inch, and you want a mile. Lu Ming's eyes became colder. A long spear was formed in his hand, covered with a layer of black lightning. Whoosh! 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 He stabbed out 3 times in a row. With 3 consecutive explosions, Lu Ming blocked the attacks of Ji Peng and the other 2. Then, Lu Ming seemed to have turned into lightning. In a flash, he appeared in front of an elder in the peak absolute saint realm. The lightning spear pierced through the elder's dantian at an astonishing speed, shattering his saint heart. The elder howled in pain and flew out. He fell to the ground and screamed. Lu Ming had already crippled this person's cultivation. Then, Lu Ming moved again and appeared in front of the remaining absolute saint. With another thrust of his spear, he crippled this person's cultivation. Ji Peng was scared out of his wits after 2 people were destroyed in a row. He quickly retreated, wanting to escape. He didn't dare to fight at all. But in a flash, Lu Ming caught up with Ji Peng. Lu Ming had turned the law of chaos into the law of demonic thunder, so its power was greatly reduced. However, Lu Ming's spiritual body and saint power were both far above Ji Peng's. Ji Peng was no match for him at all. He tried his best, but he was still crushed by Lu Ming. Crack! Lu Ming broke one of Ji Peng's arms with a palm strike. Then, he broke one of Ji Peng's legs with a kick. Crack! Crack! After several explosions, Ji Peng's limbs were broken by Lu Ming. He lay on the ground like a dead dog. Get lost! Lu Ming kicked a few times consecutively, sending Ji Peng and his subordinates flying out of the courtyard. After all, this was the Yura Kingdom, the first princess residence. He couldn't kill Ji Peng. If he really killed Ji Peng, he would have to run. This wasn't Lu Ming's goal. He still needed the first princess to introduce him to the royal family of the ancient devil nation. Brat, just you wait. Ji Peng's vicious voice came from outside the courtyard. He had just said that he would break Lu Ming's limbs and throw him out. In the end, his limbs were broken and he was thrown out like a dead dog. This made him furious. Lu Ming frowned. If Ji Peng went too far, he wouldn't mind killing him and leaving the Yura Kingdom. He would think of other ways. The next morning, a group of people came to the first princess residence to meet her. Ji Peng was among the group. However, this group wasn't led by Ji Peng. It was his elder brother and one of his uncles. General Ji, Brother Ji, please take a seat. In a large hall, the first princess received Ji Peng and the others. However, Her gaze was fixed on the middle-aged man in the lead and a youth with a cold expression. This middle-aged man was Ji Peng's uncle, the younger brother of the Yura kingdom's first marshal. He was also a general of the Yura kingdom. As for the youth, he was Ji Peng's elder brother, one of the top geniuses of the Yura kingdom. He had a terrifying king-type body. "First princess, we're here to ask for a person from you," Ji Peng's uncle said. "You want a person? Who?" The first princess was slightly taken aback and frowned. Chapter 2029. Lu Ming is the bastard who didn't save the princess, Ji Peng said coldly. Lu Ming. What happened to him? The princess was confused. Eldest princess, for no reason yesterday, Lu Ming crippled the cultivation of 2 perfected holy saints of the Ji family and broke Ji Peng's limbs. He has to pay the price for his actions, Ji Peng's elder brother said coldly. Ji Peng's elder brother was called Ji Tian. I didn't expect such a thing to happen. The eldest princess raised her eyebrows. She then instructed the servant, "Get Lu Ming here." Lu Ming was cultivating when he heard noises outside. He got up and came out. "Young Master Lu, the princess wants to see you," a middle-aged guard said. "They're here so quickly." Lu Ming's heart stirred. His first thought was that the Ji family had come looking for him. "All right." Lu Ming nodded and followed the middle-aged guard to the princess's hall. "It's the Ji family." Lu Ming saw Ji Peng as soon as he entered the hall. Ji Peng and the others looked at Lu Ming coldly. "Lu Ming, did you cripple the cultivations of the Ji family yesterday?" The first princess sat at the head of the table and asked with a cold and arrogant expression. "That's right," Lu Ming replied. "How dare you? Even the Ji family is touched. Kill yourself and I'll leave your corpse intact." Ji Peng's uncle slammed the table and said coldly. "What a joke. They wanted to kill me. Can't I fight back?" Lu Ming sneered. "Do you know who you're talking to? Look at your attitude." Ji Peng's uncle's gaze was like lightning. He swept his gaze toward Lu Ming and a strong pressure emanated from him. Lu Ming's expression changed and he took a few steps back. Ji Peng's uncle was definitely a terrifying expert. It seems like the Ji family doesn't even care about the princess, Lu Ming said coldly. Ji Peng's uncle's expression changed and he retracted his aura. After all, this was the princess's residence and Lu Ming was the princess's subordinate. He would cross the line if he attacked without the princess's permission. "Princess, this person crippled the cultivations of the Ji family and injured Ji Peng. He must be punished. Otherwise, how can the Ji family lead the army?" Ji Tian said coldly. "Lu Ming, what happened?" the princess asked. Lu Ming's combat strength was good and would be useful to her in the future. She didn't want Lu Ming to be crippled. "First princess, yesterday Ji Peng brought several people from the Ji family to my courtyard. They threatened to cripple me and directly attacked me. I was only protecting myself. If I hadn't attacked I would already be dead." Lu Ming recounted what had happened yesterday. "I see." The princess nodded. "Ji Peng, you went too far this time. Lu Ming is after all my guest." However, Lu Ming was too heavy-handed. "How about this, I'll take out some treasures to compensate the Ji family. Also, Lu Ming, you apologize to the Ji family in front of everyone. How about that? Apologize to the Ji family." Lu Ming furrowed his brows. What did he do wrong for him to apologize? How was that possible? No, at least cripple his limbs and make him apologize in front of everyone. Ji Peng shouted. "That's right, this person must be punished," Ji Tian said. "In my opinion, both of you should take a step back. Lu Ming will apologize in public and give some compensation. Then, this matter will be settled. How about that?" The princess spoke again. At the same time, she transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming, Ji Peng's father, is the country's Grand Marshal. The Ji family is extremely powerful. You should bear with it, apologize to the Ji family and give them some compensation. Take a step back and you'll be at ease. Lu Ming sneered. Take a step back and you'll be at ease. This matter was not his fault, yet the princess wanted him to apologize. It was obvious that she didn't want to offend the Ji family. However, the Ji family didn't want to let this matter rest. Princess, we can give you face today and not deal with him for the time being. However, princess must drive this person out of the princess residence. Ji Peng's uncle said. Ji Peng, Ji Tian, and the rest sneered. Driven out of the princess residence, without the protection of the grand princess, with their Ji family's strength, they could kill Lu Ming no matter how they wanted Lu Ming to die. The princess frowned, she naturally understood the Ji family's intention. However, Lu Ming's battle prowess wasn't bad. Since he could defeat Ji Peng, his battle prowess must be above Ji Peng's. He would be of great help in the battle against the Luo family 20 days later. It would be a pity to give him up just like that. Grand Princess, our Ji family has always been on your side. If this brat affects our relationship, I'm afraid it won't be worth it for Grand Princess. Ji Peng's uncle said nonchalantly, hinting at something. The princess's expression turned ugly. The Ji family was threatening her. However, she had to compromise. The Ji family's strength was extremely powerful. If they helped the Luo family, it would affect her greatly. The most important thing was Ji Tian. Ji Tian had the king physique. In the entire Yura kingdom, the number of people with the king physique could be counted on one hand. In the battle against the Luo family 20 days later, Ji Tian would play a crucial role in determining the outcome. Thus, she had to hold the Ji family in her hands no matter what. She couldn't ruin their relationship. Thoughts flashed through the princess's mind. Grand Princess, you have to think carefully. My elder brother has the king physique. He can determine the outcome of the battle against the Luo family, Ji Peng said coldly when he saw that the princess didn't say anything. With that, he cast a disdainful glance at Lu Ming. What he meant was, so what if you have some battle prowess? Can you be compared to my elder brother? Can you be compared to the king physique? The princess raised her eyebrows slightly. Ji Peng's words made her unhappy. However, she couldn't lose the support of the Ji family. Thus, she made a decision after pondering for a while. The princess looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, you've gone too far this time. You've broken the rules. So, please leave the princess residence. As expected. Lu Ming sneered. The princess had chosen the Ji family. In her opinion, Lu Ming was just a talent with some battle prowess. However, he couldn't be compared to the Ji family. In particular, Ji Tian, who had the king physique, could play a key role in the battle against the Luo family. The Ji family sneered. As long as Lu Ming left the princess residence, he would be dead. All right. Lu Ming didn't say anything else. He turned and left. Since the princess had chosen the Ji family, why should he stay? After taking a few steps, Lu Ming stopped and turned to look at Ji Tian. He said lightly, King physique? Is it that great? After that, Lu Ming turned and strode away, disappearing from the main hall. He's just a frog at the bottom of a well. I'm afraid he doesn't know how powerful the king physique is. Soon, he will know how powerful the king physique is. Some people from the Ji family mocked. Chapter 20:30. Lu Ming didn't stop. However, he didn't leave the first princess's residence immediately. Instead, he circled around the first princess's residence a few times before arriving at a secret location. There, he used his divine aura technique to transform into a middle-aged man. This middle-aged man was one of the guards of the first princess's residence. The Ji family had asked the first princess to chase him out of the first princess's residence. It was very likely that there would be experts stationed outside the residence. As long as he went out, he would be ambushed. Naturally, he wasn't afraid of the younger generation. However, there was no guarantee that the other party wouldn't send out Emperor realm experts. Lu Ming turned into a guard and swaggered out of the princess's residence. When he walked out of the princess's residence, as expected, he sensed a few spiritual senses sweeping over him. Among them, there were two extremely terrifying spiritual senses. It was obvious that they belonged to Emperor realm experts. However, they couldn't see through Lu Ming's divine aura technique. Lu Ming turned around and looked at the first princess's residence. He sneered in his heart, "First princess, we will meet again soon. I hope you won't regret it." Lu Ming's lips curled into a faint smile as he walked away. The first princess's residence was located in the western part of the Yura kingdom's capital. Lu Ming walked towards the eastern part of the capital. The eastern part of the capital was the territory of the Luo family. The Yu family and the Luo family were the two families that founded the Yura kingdom. Since the first princess couldn't tolerate him, he could only go to the Luo family. The little princess of the Luo family, Luo Xian. Lu Ming muttered. There was a strange phenomenon in the younger generation of the Yu family and the Luo family. The most outstanding geniuses of the two families were all women. The most outstanding genius of the Yu family was the first princess, Yu Ning. She was also the representative of the Yu family and the leader of the younger generation. As for the leader of the Luo family's younger generation, she was called Luo Xian. She was also a peerless genius and was as famous as Yu Ning. However, she was younger than Yu Ning by a few years. Hence, everyone called her the little princess. Lu Ming wanted to rely on Luo Xian. Yu Ning could recommend him to the royal family of the ancient devil nation. Naturally, Luo Xian could do the same. Soon, Lu Ming arrived in front of a magnificent mansion. This was the residence of the little princess, Luo Xian. At this point, Lu Ming had already returned to his original appearance. "Stop!" In front of the gate, two big men stopped Lu Ming. "Gentlemen, I'm here to visit the little princess." Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. "Of course I know. You're here to visit the little princess. Every day, many people come to visit the little princess. Boy, I advise you not to flatter yourself. Hurry up and leave." A burly man waved his hand, signaling Lu Ming to leave. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Apparently, the other party thought that he was deliberately trying to get close to the little princess and wanted to pursue the little princess. "The two of you, I am here to be the little princess guest. 20 days from now, in the battle with the Yu family, I will help the little princess obtain victory," Lu Ming said. The two burly men were stunned. They looked at Lu Ming as though they were looking at a fool. They had seen many people looking for all sorts of reasons to get close to the little princess. They had also heard all sorts of strange reasons. However, this was the first time they had seen someone like Lu Ming who boasted so shamelessly. "Huh, boy, you really boast shamelessly. Help the little princess obtain victory? This reason of yours is still fresh. However, if you dare to fool the little princess, you might lose your life. Boy, we'll let you off this time. Hurry up and leave." The two burly men waved their hands, signaling Lu Ming to leave quickly. "The two of you, you just need to inform the princess. What if what I said is true? What if I can really help the little princess obtain victory? If because of your obstruction, I have to rely on the eldest princess and help her obtain victory. If the little princess finds out about this, what will happen to the two of you?" Lu Ming didn't get angry and said indifferently. The two burly men's faces changed. They were sure that Lu Ming was boasting shamelessly. However, they were still afraid of what if. If Lu Ming really had the ability to do so, and because of their obstruction, he decided to side with the eldest princess in a fit of anger and help the eldest princess win, then they would be sinners and the Luo family would not let them off. The two of them looked at each other and nodded silently. It was just a matter of informing the princess. It wouldn't take much effort. If Lu Ming didn't have real ability and was just boasting, someone would naturally take care of him. Alright, wait here. I'll go and inform the princess. One of the burly men said and then hurried in to inform the princess. A moment later, the burly man returned and said, "The little princess wants to see you. Come with me." Lu Ming smiled and walked into the depths of the mansion with the burly man. "Boy, you'd better have some real ability. Otherwise, you'll be miserable," the burly man reminded him on the way. "Thank you." Lu Ming smiled. His expression was calm, and there was a faint smile on his face. The burly man was puzzled. Could it be that this boy really had real ability? The mansion was very large. After making a few large turns, they arrived at a large hall. There were only 3 people in the hall. At the head of the hall sat a woman. She wore a black veil and looked to be around 20 years old. This woman was extremely beautiful. She was even more beautiful than the eldest princess, Yu Ning. At this time, this woman was blinking her large eyes, curiously sizing up Lu Ming. To the left and right of the woman were 2 youths. At this time, their eyes were like lightning as they looked at Lu Ming. "This subordinate greets the princess." The burly man bowed to the woman. Stand to the side." The beautiful woman, the little princess Luo Xian, waved her hand. Her eyes were still on Lu Ming. "You said that you can help me defeat Yu Ning and the Yu family?" Luo Xian asked, her voice clear and pleasant. "That's right." Lu Ming nodded. "Hey, let me tell you, you can't lie to me. If you lie to me, I'll make you miserable. Do you know that?" Luo Xian had 2 canine teeth. As she spoke, her canine teeth were revealed. She was quite cute. Although she wanted to speak fiercely, she didn't have any killing intent. "Little princess, we'll know whether this brat is capable or not after we try. If he's boasting shamelessly, I'll throw him out and feed him to the dogs," a purple-robed youth on the left said coldly. At the same time, he stepped out and forced Lu Ming. Luo Xian didn't stop him. She watched curiously. "Brat, show me what you're capable of. Otherwise, you won't have a chance," the purple-robed youth said coldly. His body turned into a ray of purple light as he charged towards Lu Ming. He waved his hand, and a ray of purple sword light cut through the void and slashed towards Lu Ming. Complete Saint Realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This purple-robed youth's cultivation was at the complete Saint Realm. Moreover, Lu Ming could see that his spiritual body was a high-grade spiritual body. It was even stronger than Ji Peng's spiritual body. The purple-robed youth used 90% of his strength in this attack. It was very powerful. However, Lu Ming still had a faint smile on his face. It was as if he didn't see the purple-robed youth's attack. "Indeed, he's a shameless boaster," another youth on the right sneered. However, at this moment, Lu Ming moved. Chapter 2031. Lu Ming stretched out a finger and tapped lightly on the purple-robed young man's sword light. Bang! The purple-robed young man's sword light instantly shattered. At the same time, dense runes appeared on Lu Ming's finger and covered the purple-robed young man. The purple-robed young man was shocked and quickly retreated, but it was too late. Before he could get far, his body was covered by the runes. He felt that his cultivation was sealed and he fell to the ground with a plop. The 3 people at the scene were all dumbfounded. The purple-robed young man was defeated in 1 move. The purple-robed young man was not an ordinary person. He was very famous in the Yura kingdom and was even more famous than Ji Peng. Other than the king body, there were 10 strongest geniuses in the Yura kingdom. Ji Peng was ranked 9th and the purple-robed young man was ranked 5th. Such geniuses were no match for Lu Ming and were defeated by Lu Ming in 1 move. "Array Dao Law, you have a king body." At this moment, Princess Luo Xian stood up from her seat and looked at Lu Ming with bright eyes. King body. The hearts of the others in the hall were greatly shaken. In the entire Yura kingdom, there were only a few people with a king body. This young man had a king body. No wonder he could defeat the purple-robed young man in one move. Especially the burly guard who was guarding the door. He was secretly afraid. He thought that Lu Ming was boasting shamelessly and was just looking for an excuse to get close to the princess. Now, it seemed that they were wrong. Lu Ming was the real deal. Fortunately, he came in to pass the message. Otherwise, as Lu Ming said, if he went to seek refuge with the eldest princess, they would really be finished. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hand and the runes covering the purple-robed young man disappeared. The purple-robed young man stood up and looked at Lu Ming seriously. "Are you really going to seek refuge with me and be my guest?" Princess Luo Xian looked at Lu Ming curiously. "Of course. Why else would I be here?" Lu Ming smiled. "Why do you want to join me?" The little princess continued to ask. "The little princess is a peerless beauty, a famous beauty. If I don't rely on you, who will I rely on?" Lu Ming replied with a smile. The little princess giggled. She laughed so hard that her eyes narrowed into slits. "I like your reason. However, Yu Ning is also incomparably beautiful. Why don't you seek refuge with her?" The little princess asked again. She looked innocent, but she was actually very meticulous. "To be honest, I beat up Ji Peng yesterday and was just chased out by the first princess." Lu Ming didn't hide anything and recounted what had happened. Lu Ming was very clear that this matter could not be concealed even if he wanted to. As long as the little princess sent someone to investigate, it would not be difficult to find out. "Oh, I didn't expect such a thing to happen. This time, Yu Ning has made a mistake. I wonder what her expression will be when she finds out that you have a king body during the competition." "Interesting, interesting." The little princess laughed again and said, "There must be a condition for you to join me, right? I need the little princess to introduce me to the royal family of the ancient devil kingdom. Also, I'll only be the little princess's guest for a few months." Lu Ming said. "Alright, that's easy. Soon, we'll be heading to the ancient devil kingdom. I know a few princes and princesses of the ancient devil kingdom. I can introduce you to them." The little princess agreed without hesitation. She then looked at the others and said, "Regarding Lu Ming's matter, none of you should tell anyone." "Yes." The two young men and the bulky guard nodded their heads in response. "You may leave. I'll arrange a place for Lu Ming personally," the little princess said. The two young men and the burly gatekeeper bowed and left. Only Lu Ming and the little princess were left in the main hall. "You didn't use your full strength just now, did you? You said that you could help me win. I'd like to see how strong you are." As soon as the little princess finished her words, her body floated towards Lu Ming like a black cloud. At the same time, the little princess waved her hand and a black light shrouded Lu Ming. Peak Absolute Saint. As soon as the little princess attacked, Lu Ming could see her cultivation level. Like him, she was at the peak Absolute Saint. Roar! Lu Ming activated the law of formations and pointed out a finger. A real dragon roared and pounced out. It was formed by the runes of the formation Tao. Boom! The true dragon and the little princess's black light collided with a loud boom. Then, countless runes spread out towards the little princess. Judgment! The little princess lightly shouted. Black light burst forth, obliterating the endless runes. Law of Judgment! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The Law of Judgment was an extremely terrifying law of kings. It was said to be able to judge everything and its offensive power was shocking. Again. The little princess went up and fought with Lu Ming again. Lu Ming activated the Law of Formations and fought with the little princess. Lu Ming didn't use his full strength. Lu Ming's spirit body was definitely much stronger than that of the little princess. His saint power was also stronger than that of the little princess. In fact, Lu Ming had only used the integration of the illusory spirit scroll and the sealing scroll for the 3 scrolls of array formation. He had not added the destruction scroll. Even so, the little princess was still at a disadvantage after dozens of attacks. Awesome, awesome! After exchanging dozens of blows, the little princess retreated and said in a sweet voice, "Lu Ming, you're not weak." However, Ji Tian from the Ji family also has a king body and his cultivation has reached perfected absolute saint. I'm afraid he's stronger than you. How do you know, little princess? I used my full strength just now. Lu Ming smiled. You didn't use your full strength? So you're looking down on me? The little princess pouted. Lu Ming couldn't help but touch his nose. The little princess's temper was really changeable. Lu Ming couldn't help but think of someone. Xian Yanqing. The little princess's temper was similar to Xian Yanqing's. Little Qing, where are you now? Lu Ming couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Back then, Patriarch Ice Dragon had taken Xian Yanqing away. It had been a few years since then, and there had been no news of them. This made Lu Ming very worried. Lu Ming, just you wait. I'm going to reach the peak absolute saint realm soon. I'll spar with you then. As she spoke, the little princess showed her two canine teeth again and glared at Lu Ming. Let's go. I'll arrange a place for you to stay. The little princess's expression changed very quickly. A moment ago, she was still threatening Lu Ming, but in the next moment, she walked out of the hall. Lu Ming followed closely behind. After the little princess arranged a courtyard for Lu Ming, she left. There were still 20 days before the competition between the Yu family and the Luo family. She had to reach the peak absolute saint realm in these 20 days. In the following days, Lu Ming was very relaxed and cultivated in peace. As for the Ji family, they sent people to search for Lu Ming in the capital, but they couldn't find any clues. This made Ji Peng furious. Just like that, 20 days passed in the blink of an eye. Chapter 2032. At the center of the Yura Kingdom's capital, there was a huge battle stage. There were many seats around the battle stage, and there was also a large empty space. On this day, there was a sea of people around the battle stage. The Yura Kingdom was founded by two great clans. Every 10,000 years, the Yura Kingdom would be decided by which clan would control the Yura Kingdom. Therefore, this was the biggest event in the Yura Kingdom in the past 10,000 years. Countless people were gathered here. In all directions, there was a dense crowd of people. Lu Ming and the Luo clan were sitting on the east side of the battle stage. The spectators were all experts from the Luo clan. Lu Ming looked around and saw that there were many void emperors and true emperors. The father of the little princess, Luo Xian, was sitting at the front. On the west side of the battle stage, there were people from the Yu clan. At this moment, both sides were sizing each other up. That Lu Ming actually sided with Luo Xian. Damn it! Ji Peng shouted angrily when he saw Lu Ming. Ji Tian and Yu Ning also looked at Lu Ming. There was a cold glint in their eyes. The Ji clan is really useless. I already kicked Lu Ming out, but they still couldn't find him. Instead, they let him side with Luo Xian. Yu Ning's eyes flashed coldly as she roared in her heart. Lu Ming's battle strength was very strong. He could easily defeat Ji Peng. This would affect the outcome of this competition. When she kicked Lu Ming out, she already thought that Lu Ming would side with Luo Xian in a fit of anger. However, she also knew that as long as she kicked Lu Ming out, the Ji clan wouldn't let Lu Ming go. Lu Ming would most likely be killed by the Ji clan. He wouldn't have a chance to side with Luo Xian. She didn't expect the Ji clan to be so useless. Lu Ming actually managed to escape and side with Luo Xian. During the competition, if there's a chance, we must kill Lu Ming. Yu Ning transmitted her voice to Ji Tian and Ji Peng. Don't worry. If that brat meets me, I'll make him die miserably. Ji Tian spoke, his killing intent cold. If he touches me, I'll make him wish he was dead. A yellow-robed youth said coldly. The yellow-robed youth's name was Huang Song. In the Yura kingdom, Huang Song was the strongest person aside from the king body. He was ranked first among the 10 strongest geniuses. He was much stronger than Ji Peng. Yu Ning, Ji Tian, and the rest were sizing up Lu Ming's group. Lu Ming, Luo Xian, and the rest were also sizing each other up. According to the old rules, each side will send out 50 skyprides to fight one-on-one. In the end, the side that wins will be the winner. Luo Xian transmitted his voice to everyone. Lu Ming nodded. This rule was simple. This time, in the younger generation, both sides have 2 king bodies. Their cultivation levels are about the same, so the battle between the king bodies is very likely to result in both sides suffering losses. Therefore, the battle between the non-king bodies is very important. Luo Xian continued. When he mentioned the king body, he did not include Lu Ming. The news that Lu Ming had a king body had not spread out yet. However, other than the king body, there is one person you must be careful of. That is Huang Song. Although he doesn't have a king body, his combat strength is very strong. He had a fortuitous encounter that made his spiritual body stronger than the average spiritual body. Moreover, his divine ability is very profound. You must be careful when you encounter him. Luo Xian warned. Many people nodded. They were naturally aware of Huang Song's methods. At this time, a figure flew up to the stage. This person was very old. He was one of the Yura Kingdom's doyens and also the judge of this competition. The participants of this competition will go up to the stage first. The doyen spoke, his voice like a bell. Let's go up. Luo Xian stood up first, and the rest followed suit. Yu Ning, Ji Tian, and the rest also went up to the stage. Each side had 50 people. As long as they were under the age of 50, they could participate. As soon as they stepped onto the stage, Ji Peng, Ji Tian, and Huang Song glared coldly at Lu Ming. Brat, you better pray that you don't meet me. Otherwise, you'll die miserably. The first to speak was Huang Song. His eyes revealed a cruel smile. On Luo Xian's side, some people's faces changed. Huang Song's methods were extremely cruel. Many of his enemies had died miserably. Lu Ming, you shouldn't have sided with Luo Xian. Yu Ning said coldly. He, I shouldn't have sided with you. Don't tell me I have to do as you say and be killed by the Ji family after being expelled by you? What a joke. Lu Ming said indifferently. Big sister Yu Ning, you don't like Lu Ming, but I treat him like a treasure. I hope you won't be surprised later, he. Luo Xian laughed. Yu Ning's face was cold, but she didn't say anything. Next, the doyens assigned numbers. On each side, there were numbers 1 to 50. Then, the doyens placed the 50 numbers into a box and randomly drew them. Whichever 2 numbers were drawn would be the 2 people who would fight. Lu Ming's number was 31. After the numbers were assigned, everyone returned to their respective stands. As for the doyens, they each drew a number from the 2 boxes. Luo family's number 6, Yu family's number 39. The doyens announced their names. In the next instant, 2 figures rushed onto the stage and began to fight. There was no suspense in this battle. The Yu family obtained victory. This was because the Yu family member's cultivation was clearly higher. With just a few moves, he heavily injured the Luo family member and sent him flying off the stage. The Yu family obtained victory in the first battle. The Yu family members revealed smiles on their faces. The doyens continued to draw numbers. In the second battle, the Luo family members' cultivation was stronger and obtained victory. The third battle. Luo family's number 31, Yu family's number 5. The doyens announced their numbers. It's my turn so soon. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He stood up and rushed onto the stage. The Yu family member was a tall and sturdy youth. However, when he saw Lu Ming, his face turned gloomy. Just a moment ago, Yu Ning had transmitted a message to him. She had told him that Lu Ming had defeated Ji Peng. She had told him to exchange a few moves with Lu Ming and exhaust some of Lu Ming's saint energy before admitting defeat. Since Lu Ming had defeated Ji Peng, the tall and sturdy youth knew that he wasn't a match for Lu Ming. "Brat, eat my axe!" the tall and sturdy youth roared. He raised his battle axe and charged towards Lu Ming. His goal was to exhaust some of Lu Ming's saint energy. Zzz, a sizzling sound came from Lu Ming's hand. Black demonic lightning flashed. Following that, Lu Ming blasted out a palm. The demonic lightning formed a huge palm and blasted towards the tall and sturdy youth. Boom! The tall and sturdy youth's body was directly sent flying. He flew out of the stage and vomited a large mouthful of blood. This brat has some strength. It's more fun to kill him like this. Huang Song licked his lips. The ferocious expression on his face became even more intense. As for Luo Xian and the purple-robed youth, who had seen Lu Ming in action before, they were dumbfounded. What's going on? The demonic lightning law. Didn't Lu Ming use the law of Array Dao back then? How did it become the demonic lightning law? Could it be that he has mastered two types of law? Luo Xian and the others revealed looks of disbelief. Chapter 2033. After defeating his opponent, Lu Ming returned to the stands. Luo Xian glanced at Lu Ming from time to time. He felt that Lu Ming wasn't as simple as he seemed. The competition continued. Luo Xian and the purple-robed youth fought one after another and won easily. In addition, the Luo family had a king body. He defeated his opponent in one move. On the Yu family side, Yu Ning and Ji Tian also won easily. Ji Peng also won. As for Huang Song, he was even more merciless, showing no mercy at all. In an instant, he tore apart a genius from the Luo clan. He stood on the battle platform, bathed in blood, resembling a ferocious beast of slaughter. On the Luo family's side, other than Lu Ming and a few others, everyone's expression changed. Soon, the first round was over. Both sides had 50 people each. However, after the first round, there was a gap in the number of people on both sides. The Yu family had ruled the Yura kingdom for 20,000 years. They had a deep foundation. Naturally, there were more geniuses who joined them. Therefore, after the first round, the Yu family had gained the upper hand. After the first round, the Yu family had 28 people left. As for the Luo family, they had only 18. Why didn't the total number of people on both sides add up to 50? It was because in the process of the battle, both sides had suffered injuries. Therefore, the total number of people on both sides was naturally less than 50. The second round was the same as the first round. The remaining people on both sides were placed in the box and drawn. The two people who were drawn would fight each other. This way, the side with more people would definitely have an advantage. This was because the side with more people didn't need to fight. They could conserve their strength and saint power. In the second round, Lu Ming also fought very early. However, his opponent wasn't strong and was easily defeated. After that, Luo Xian and another genius with a king body also won. Yu family's number 3 against the Luo family's number 5. At this time, Elder Yuan's voice sounded again. It's the two of them. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The Yu family's number 3 was Huang Song. The Luo family's number 5 was the purple-robed youth who had tried to test Lu Ming. His name was Wu Shi. Shua! Huang Song's figure appeared on the stage. He looked at Wu Shi with a sinister expression and shouted, "Ha, Wu Shi, I didn't expect it to be you. Hurry up and accept your death." Wu Shi stood up with a solemn face. Among the top 10 young cultivators outside of the king body, Huang Song was ranked first, and Wu Shi was ranked 5th. In their previous battles, he was definitely not Huang Song's opponent. If you can't win, just admit defeat. Your life is more important. Luo Xian sent a message to Wu Shi. Wu Shi nodded and rushed into the Colosseum. The two of them immediately clashed. Huang Song's battle prowess was indeed stronger than Wu Shi's. Huang Song's spirit body seemed to be stronger than the average superior heaven spirit body. His attacks were like a violent storm, and he was like a ferocious savage beast, crazily attacking Wu Shi. For a moment, Wu Shi could only defend passively. But after a few moves, Huang Song clawed at him and tore off a piece of flesh from his body. Die, ha! Upon encountering fresh blood, Huang Song seemed to become even more excited. Traces of blood-red light appeared in his eyes, and his attacks became even more violent. Wu Shi roared. After using his strongest move, he rushed down the fighting ring. He knew that he was no match for Huang Song. If he continued to fight, his life would be in danger. He could only rush down the fighting ring and admit defeat. However, Huang Song obviously did not want to let him off so easily. You want to leave? Die! Huang Song roared. Shwa! Shwa! Claw shadows covered the sky and enveloped Wu Shi. Puchi! Blood splattered everywhere, and flesh flew everywhere. One of Wu Shi's arms was torn off by Huang Song. Wu Shi endured the pain and rushed down the fighting ring. Humph, what a piece of trash. You don't even have the courage to fight to the death. I think you should admit defeat as soon as possible. Huang Song sneered and looked mockingly at the Luo family's geniuses. Many of them had ugly expressions, but at the same time, they revealed a look of fear. Even Wu Shi had been defeated so miserably. On their side, other than the two king bodies, there was no one who could fight with Huang Song. If they encountered Huang Song, it would be difficult for them to even survive. The morale of the remaining geniuses was somewhat low. Huang Song's gaze swept coldly at Lu Ming. He sneered and returned to the stands. The competition continued. Not long after, the second round of the competition also ended. The difference in numbers between the two sides was even greater. The Yu family still had 19 people, while the Luo family only had 9. In the second round, the Yu family had 10 people who did not need to fight. It looks like the Yu family still has the absolute advantage in this competition. The Yu family has ruled the Yura kingdom for 20,000 years. They are getting stronger and stronger. Naturally, more geniuses will join them. That's right. Although both sides have two king bodies, the Luo family is too far behind. Many people were discussing this. Some of the Yu family's experts had smiles on their faces. As for the Luo family's experts, their faces were gloomy. With this defeat, their Luo family would have to wait another 10,000 years. Soon, the third round began. The remaining 9 geniuses of the Luo family were all quite strong. Thus, their chances of winning in the third round increased. It was unknown whether Lu Ming's luck was good or bad, but the opponent he faced in this round wasn't strong. He was easily defeated by Lu Ming. In this round, 6 of the Luo family's 9 geniuses won, and 3 were eliminated. As for the Yu family, 6 of them were eliminated. Only 13 remained. 13 people against 6. Following this, the fourth round began. The Yu family's number 1 versus the Luo family's number 1. The Yura kingdom's doyen pulled out 2 numbers. He was stunned for a moment before he announced the numbers. As soon as the announcement was made, the crowd went into an uproar. Many people became excited. This was because the numbers on both sides were Yuning and Luo Xian. They were the eldest and youngest princesses of the Yura kingdom. They were the 2 most outstanding women of the Yura kingdom's younger generation. Not only were their talents outstanding, but their cultivation talent was even more shocking. They both had king bodies. Now, these 2 beautiful princesses were going to face each other. Who would emerge victorious? Many people were looking forward to it. The 2 of them stood up and jumped onto the stage. Their gazes met, and it was as if divine swords were clashing. Sister Luo Xian, I will make you accept your defeat wholeheartedly. Yu Ning smiled. Her face was still cold and arrogant. That's exactly what I wanted to say. I will defeat you. I will defeat all of you. Luo Xian opened her mouth, revealing 2 canine teeth. Following this, the the two of them moved and started fighting. As soon as the two of them attacked, they used their divine abilities. The laws of king bodies clashed in the air, causing rumbling sounds to ring out continuously. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows. There was no clear winner. Sister Luo Xian, so that's all you've got? It seems like you're going to lose. Yu Ning smiled. Then, the aura on her body skyrocketed. Princess Yu Ning has reached the peak of the Paragon Saint Realm. Previously, she was the same as Princess Luo Xian. She had always been at the peak of the Paragon Saint Realm. I didn't expect her to break through now. I wonder if Princess Luo Xian has broken through. Otherwise, she's going to lose. Many people exclaimed. This was especially so for the Luo family. Their expressions were grave. Chapter 2034. Sister Luo Xian, how are you going to fight me now? Yu Ning sneered. She stepped forward, and a powerful aura pressed down on Luo Xian. A month ago, she was still a peak Paragon Saint, but recently, her cultivation had reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. She stood at the peak of the Yura Kingdom. Ji Tian, who used to be the #1 genius of the Yura Kingdom, was only at the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. Do you think you're going to win? Luo Xian's voice rang out. Boom! Then, a powerful aura burst out of Luo Xian's body. Luo Xian's cultivation was also at the peak of the Paragon Saint realm, but now, he had reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. Yu Ning's expression changed. She exclaimed, "You've also broken through." Of course. Do you think you're the only one who has broken through? Luo Xian smiled. So what if I've broken through? I'll still defeat you. Yu Ning said coldly as she charged toward Luo Xian. The two princesses clashed again. Both of them had king bodies, and their cultivation had reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. Their battle was shocking. Ordinary boundary emperors were no match for them. Only two afterimages could be seen on the stage. Those with weaker cultivations couldn't even see them clearly. It seems like neither of them has the upper hand. Lu Ming was paying attention to the battle on the stage. He noticed that Yu Ning and Luo Xian's cultivation and battle power were on par. They seemed to know each other very well, and they were in a stalemate. Boom! Boom! Soon, the two of them had exchanged hundreds of blows. At this point, their bodies were emitting white smoke. They circulated their saint power to the extreme, and they exchanged a few more blows, but they were still evenly matched. Their breathing became heavier, and their speed became slower. This was a sign of extreme exhaustion. However, both of them were very stubborn. Neither of them wanted to lose to the other, so they gritted their teeth and continued to fight. Towards the end, their attacks became slower and slower. It was as if they were moving in slow motion. Brother Luo, it'll be disadvantageous for them if they continue fighting. Why don't we end this battle in a draw? The head of the Yu family, who was also the current ruler of the Yura kingdom, looked at the head of the Luo family. Alright, let's end this battle in a draw. The head of the Luo family nodded. If they continued to fight, both sides would suffer. If they overdraft themselves too much, it wouldn't be good for either of them. The Luo family head and the Yu family head nodded. The figures of the Yura kingdom's elders moved and appeared in front of Yu Ning and Luo Xian, blocking them. This round is considered a draw. All of you can go back and rest. Senior Yuan said. Yu Ning and Luo Xian glared at each other and snorted coldly. Then, they returned to the stands and swallowed the medicinal pills. While refining the medicinal pills, they continued to watch the competition. In the next battle, it was the turn of the Luo family's other king body. He easily defeated his opponent. Yu family's number 3 against Luo family's number 31. After the Luo family's king physique was sent out, the elder reported his number. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was his turn. Also, wasn't Yu family's number 3 Huang Song? Lu Ming stood up with a cold smile on his face. The eyes of Luo Xian, Wu Shi, and the others glittered. Others might not know, but they knew that Lu Ming was a king physique. Back then, he had easily defeated Wu Shi. His combat strength was definitely above Huang Song's. I will avenge you. Lu Ming patted Wu Shi's shoulder and stepped onto the stage. Ha ha ha, I finally met this kid. Huang Song was overjoyed. His face was ferocious and excited. Since Princess Yuning wanted to kill Lu Ming, he naturally had to deal with Lu Ming for her. Huang Song, don't kill him so easily. It's best if he begs for mercy on the stage before killing him. Ji Peng glared at Lu Ming and said to Huang Song. Haha, that's exactly what I wanted. Huang Song laughed and rushed onto the stage. He stared at Lu Ming and said, Kid, kneel down and beg for mercy. I might give you a quick death. He thought that he would see a look of horror on Lu Ming's face, but he was disappointed. Lu Ming had a spurious smile. He looked at Huang Song and said, pathetic. Huang Song's face darkened. Kid, what did you say? I said that you don't even know that your life is coming to an end. How pathetic. Lu Ming added. Ha ha ha, kid, you're saying that you can kill me? I'd like to see where you get your confidence from. Huang Song hollered. As soon as he finished his words, his figure dashed toward Lu Ming. His claws were like knives, grabbing toward Lu Ming. Huang Song was also wearing a kind of glove. This glove was like mercury. It wrapped around his hand and could change its shape at will. His fingertips were extremely sharp. Sizzle, 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 black thunderbolts flashed on Lu Ming's palm as he blasted his palm toward Huang Song. He's only a peak absolute saint. How dare he fight Huang Song head-on? He's courting death. Huang Song's spiritual body is very powerful. Even a peak absolute saint wouldn't dare to fight Huang Song head-on. This kid is just courting death. It looks like Huang Song wants to kill him. He's done for. Lu Ming's attack caused a commotion. However, in the next moment, all the sounds disappeared. This was because Lu Ming and Huang Song had collided. Boom! A figure wailed and flew far away. He fell to the ground. It wasn't Lu Ming who everyone thought it was, but Huang Song. Huang Song was sent flying 100 meters and fell to the ground. His body was twitching, and lightning was all over him. On the other hand, Lu Ming didn't move at all. How? How is this possible? Lu Ming was only a peak absolute saint. How could he send Huang Song flying with one move? Lu Ming didn't have a king body. How is this possible? In the stands, Ji Peng roared in disbelief. Lu Ming was strong enough to defeat him, but they didn't think that Lu Ming could defeat Huang Song. Huang Song was almost unbeatable at the same level, except for those with a king body. Plus, Huang Song's cultivation was higher. Yuning's face also darkened. Even Luo Xian, Wu Shi, and the others were shocked. They'd guessed that Lu Ming could defeat Huang Song, but only if Lu Ming used the Law of Kings. But now, Lu Ming had defeated Huang Song without using the Law of Kings at all. This was beyond their expectations. Of course, they did not know that Lu Ming's spirit body was far superior to ordinary high-grade spirit bodies. Besides, he had cultivated 2 sacred hearts. His sacred power was far superior to that of a perfected absolute saint. Even if he did not use the Law of the King, he could easily defeat Huang Song. Lu Ming stepped forward and approached Huang Song. He looked down at him and said, "Didn't you want to kill me? Come." Huang Song looked at Lu Ming. He didn't look ferocious anymore. Instead, he looked terrified. With a roar, he charged down the battle platform. He wanted to admit defeat, but Lu Ming wouldn't let him do that. Crack! Chapter 2035. Huang Song roared as he used all his strength to block Lu Ming's lightning spear. However, the spear vibrated as if it was indestructible. Chi La! The lightning spear pierced through Huang Song's attack, piercing through his shoulder and dragging Huang Song along as he slid a distance away. Huang Song roared in fear and rushed in another direction, wanting to rush down the stage. He no longer had the heart to continue fighting. At this moment, there was only fear in his heart. Lu Ming's battle strength was too strong, exceeding his expectations. His battle intent had already collapsed. As a result, he was even less of a match for Lu Ming. Swish! Swish! Lu Ming's figure flashed as the black spear stabbed out continuously. Finally, it pierced through Huang Song's left leg and nailed him to the ground. Trash! You don't even have the courage to fight. Where's your arrogance from before? Lu Ming stepped forward and stepped on Huang Song's face, looking down on him. Previously, Huang Song was incomparably arrogant. When he defeated Wu Shi, he said that Wu Shi was trash who didn't even have the courage to fight. But now, he was facing Lu Ming. Wasn't he the same? Now, Lu Ming had returned those words to him. It was incomparably ironic. Eldest princess, save me! Huang Song roared, begging Princess Yuning for help. Lu Ming, stop when you're ahead. Don't go too far. At this moment, Princess Yuning spoke. Nonsense. Lu Ming looked at Princess Yuning and reprimanded her. Are you blind or deaf? Why didn't you tell Huang Song not to go overboard when he killed our people? Also, it was Huang Song who said that he wanted to kill me. Why didn't you stop him? Lu Ming's sarcastic voice resounded throughout the entire place. This made Princess Yuning's expression extremely ugly. Impudent. Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to the princess like this? I'll cripple you. An expert from the Yu family shouted, erupting with a powerful aura. What are you doing? The Luo family head said coldly, sweeping his gaze over the Yu family expert. The latter's expression changed greatly. Brother Yu, don't break the rules. The Luo family head said coldly. Sit down. The Yu family head glanced at the Yu family expert. The Yu family expert could only withdraw his aura and obediently withdraw. The conflict between the two clans happened once every 10,000 years. It had been countless years, so there were naturally rules. No one else was allowed to interfere. Otherwise, the Senate of the Yura Kingdom would declare the party that broke the rules to be the loser. This kid is interesting. The head of the Luo family said with a smile. That was a good scolding. Luo Xian laughed loudly, as if he had vented his anger. This made Princess Yuning's expression turn even uglier. Now, I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming looked at Huang Song. No, Huang Song struggled with all his might, his eyes filled with terror. However, Lu Ming's long spear descended and directly pierced through his glabella, killing Huang Song. Many people at the scene heaved a sigh of relief. Huang Song was dead. He was killed by an unknown young man. This was the strongest genius in the Yura kingdom outside of the king physique. However, he was killed in a few moves by Lu Ming. This made everyone fearful of Lu Ming's combat strength. How is this kid so strong? How is he so strong? Ji Peng was incomparably terrified. Don't worry. If this kid meets me, I'll avenge Huang Song. Ji Tian said coldly, staring coldly at Lu Ming. Lu Ming seemed to have sensed something. He looked back at Ji Tian, smiled faintly, and returned to the spectator stand. There's hope. At this moment, some of the Luo family's experts' eyes lit up as they saw hope. Although they were few in number, they saw hope now. This was because each side had a king physique. If, before Lu Ming met Ji Tian, the two people with the king physique would encounter each other first. If, like Yuning and Luo Xian, both of them suffered injuries, then they would have a chance of winning. If the king physique on both sides were injured, then who on the Yu family's side could be Lu Ming's opponent? Lu Ming alone could wipe out the other side. Obviously, the Yu family's people also thought of this point, and their faces were gloomy. Because of Lu Ming, the situation where they were sure to win had turned into an unpredictable trend. Don't worry, they won't have a chance. Ji Tian said confidently. Could it be that you have already? Yu Ning seemed to have thought of something, and her face lit up. That's right. Ji Tian nodded. Yu Ning was ecstatic, and she let out a long breath. This way, they would definitely win. If you meet that Lu Ming, kill him for me. Yu Ning transmitted her voice to Ji Tian. If it was like what Ji Tian said, then Lu Ming would meet Ji Tian sooner or later. Everyone had different thoughts in their hearts, but the competition still continued. When this round ended, on the Luo family's side, there were only 3 people left. On the Yu family's side, there were only 9 people left. A new round had begun. This round didn't attract too much attention. Lu Ming easily defeated his opponent, and so did the Luo family's king physique. But on the Luo family's side, another person was defeated by the opponent. In this way, the Luo family only had 2 people left. On the Yu family's side, there were only 7 people left. Yu family's number 2, Luo family's number 2. When Elder Yuan announced the numbers, everyone became excited. Finally, it was time for the main event. The Yu family's number 2 was Ji Tian, and the Luo family's number 2 was Long Yan. The 2 king physiques were going to fight again. In the past, Ji Tian was known as the number 1 person among the younger generation in the Yura kingdom. His cultivation had long reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. But Long Yan might not be weaker than him, and his cultivation had long reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. The last time they fought was a few years ago. At that time, the 2 of them exchanged hundreds of moves, and in the end Long Yan lost to Ji Tian by a single move. But a few years had passed, and anything could happen. The current Ji Tian might not be able to defeat Long Yan. They're finally going to fight. The eyes of the Luo family's experts lit up, and their faces were filled with joy. Finally, before Lu Ming met Ji Tian, the 2 king physiques would fight. This was what they wanted to see, and it was also their only hope of winning. As long as Ji Tian and Long Yan were injured, Lu Ming would be able to defeat the remaining people of the Yu family. Then, the Luo family would be able to win this time. Long Yan, we don't want to win this battle, but we can't let Ji Tian win. The Luo family's head transmitted to Long Yan. Long Yan nodded and stepped onto the battle stage. Ji Tian also stepped onto the battle stage. Long Yan, you weren't my match a few years ago. Today, you won't be my match either. Ji Tian said confidently. He had a strong belief that he was invincible. Not necessarily. Long Yan said indifferently. Then, he took a step forward, and terrifying flames spread out from his body. This flame was an extremely terrifying flame law called the Destruction Heavenly Flame Law. It was also a kind of king law. 6 hells. Ji Tian whispered. 6 worlds seemed to appear around his body. One was a sea of blood, one was boundless demonic chi, and one was filled with killing intent. So it's the 6 hells law. Chapter 2036. The 6 hells law was similar to the reincarnation law. However, one was the strongest law, while the other was the king law. In terms of power, the difference was too great. The 6 hells law was a simplified version of the reincarnation law. 6 worlds enveloped Ji Tian, making him look like a demon god. Watch me burn the 6 hells law. Long Yan roared, and flames soared into the sky. He was like a flaming war god. A flaming spear appeared in his hand, and he charged towards Ji Tian. The spear stabbed out, and a terrifying spear light pierced towards Ji Tian, wanting to pierce through his 6 hells law. 6 hell divine fist. Ji Tian stepped forward and punched out with both fists. It was as if he was driving the 6 worlds. The 6 worlds turned into fist light and blasted towards Long Yan. Boom! The spear and fist light collided, and a violent explosion sounded. Long Yan's heavenly fire law could burn everything. It had the power of destruction, and it was incomparably terrifying. It was no weaker than the 6 hells law. In the explosion, both of them retreated at the same time. But then, both of them rushed towards each other and fought again. Their combat strength was on par. A few years ago, the two of them fought for hundreds of moves before the victor was decided. This time, it was the same. In the blink of an eye, the two of them fought for dozens of moves, but it was still a draw. There's hope. The eyes of the Luo family's powerhouses lit up. If this continued, it was very likely that they would end up like Princess Yuning and Princess Luo Xian. In the past, they were afraid of encountering such a situation because they weren't a match for the Yu family. But now, they were looking forward to such a situation because they had Lu Ming. The Yu family's powerhouses were the opposite. This was extremely disadvantageous for the Yu family. The Yu family's powerhouses all had gloomy expressions. Ji Tian and Long Yan fought fiercely, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. Boom! With a violent explosion, both of them retreated. Ji Tian, I said that you won't be able to defeat me in a few years. Long Yan spoke. His voice was as loud as a bell. Terrifying flames rushed into the clouds. His eyes were bright as if he had vented the anger in his heart. Hee Long Yan, you are really naive. At this time, Ji Tian smiled faintly, and his voice was filled with sarcasm. What do you mean? Long Yan's eyes narrowed. He didn't know why, but when he saw Ji Tian smile, he had a bad feeling in his heart. Could it be that Ji Tian still hadn't used his full strength? Then let me show you my true strength. Ji Tian sneered and took a step forward. Wang! A halo emanated from Ji Tian's body, encircling him like a god descending to the mortal world. Light of Law! You've cultivated the light of law. Long Yan's pupils rapidly shrank as he roared in disbelief. Boom! Boom! At this moment, the experts from the Luo family and the Yu family couldn't suppress the shock in their hearts. They stood up from their seats, and powerful auras began to emanate from their bodies. However, the feelings of the two families were completely different. Ha ha ha, the light of the law, it's the light of the King Dao law. There's no suspense in this battle. The experts of the Yu family laughed heartily. They were all overjoyed. As for the Luo family, they were all in disbelief. In the end, they slumped back into their seats. It was as if all the strength in their bodies had disappeared without a trace. The light of law. Since Ji Tian had cultivated the light of law, there was no suspense in this battle. Long Yan was definitely not Ji Tian's opponent. They both had the king body, but the difference between having the light of law and not having the light of law was too great. If Long Yan was defeated, Lu Ming would naturally be defeated. How could this be? Luo Xian said helplessly. Originally, she seemed to have seen the dawn of victory. Because Lu Ming also had the king body, they had a high chance of winning this battle. But she never would have thought that Ji Tian actually cultivated out the light of law. It was extremely difficult to cultivate the light of law with the king body, but once it was cultivated, it would far surpass other king bodies. Ji Tian really cultivated the light of law. At this moment, Yu Ning's face was full of smiles. She was secretly glad that she didn't offend the Ji family because of Lu Ming. Not only did the Ji family have the commander-in-chief, but Ji Tian's talent was even more shocking. Although Lu Ming's strength wasn't bad, compared to Ji Tian, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. At this moment, she was incomparably relaxed. The trace of regret she had for driving out Lu Ming disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming couldn't affect the overall situation. The Yu family will win for sure. The spectators sighed as well. It seemed that the Yu family would continue to rule the Yura kingdom. Boom! On the battle stage, Ji Tian displayed the light of law. His aura was even stronger as it pressed towards Long Yan. Long Yan, do you still want to fight? Ji Tian asked coldly, high and mighty. Fight! Long Yan gritted his teeth and charged towards Ji Tian with his flaming spear. You're overestimating yourself. Then I'll let you see the power of the light of law. I'll let you see the difference between not cultivating the light of law and cultivating the light of law. Ji Tian punched out, and the power of the light of law was added to his fist. Boom! This fist collided with Long Yan's spear. Buzz! Long Yan's long spear vibrated and buzzed. The destruction heavenly fire law on it trembled non-stop. In the next moment, Long Yan's destruction heavenly fire law was penetrated. The terrifying power caused Long Yan to retreat wildly. He retreated more than 10 steps before he could stabilize himself. Puff! Long Yan's body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. There was a trace of shock in his eyes. He wasn't a match for Ji Tian at all. He was injured in a single move. Boom! Boom! Ji Tian punched out consecutively, and another 2 punches blasted out. Although Long Yan did his best to resist, he was no match at all and was completely suppressed. After 2 more punches, Long Yan spat out another mouthful of blood. I've lost. Long Yan shook his head, and his expression was desolate. His figure moved, and he rushed out of the battle stage. He knew that it was useless to continue fighting. He wasn't a match for Ji Tian, and he would only be humiliating himself. We've lost again. The Luo family head and the other experts of the Luo family sighed helplessly. They had lost again. For the next 10,000 years, the Yu family would continue to rule the Yura kingdom. They had lost 3 times in a row, and they were somewhat unwilling. If this continued, their Luo family would fall, and it would be even harder for them to compete with the Yu family. As for the Yu family, they were naturally ecstatic. Brother Luo, do you still want to continue? The Yu family head looked at the Luo family head with a smile. He was naturally happy. With the Yu family's victory, he would continue to rule the Yura kingdom. In his opinion, the Luo family only had Lu Ming left, and there was no need to continue. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, could he fight against Ji Tian? Your Majesty, according to the rules, this competition will continue until one side is completely defeated. Ji Tian cupped his fists at the Yu family head. Chapter 2037. Look at me being muddle-headed. That's true. The competition must continue. Continue. The patriarch of the Yu family laughed. Lu Ming also smiled. Even if the other party wanted to end the competition early, he wouldn't agree. Next, the competition continued. However, no one had the energy to pay attention to it. They all thought that the result was already decided. Continuing the competition was just a formality according to the rules. If Lu Ming is smart, he will deliberately rush down the stage to admit defeat. Otherwise, if he meets Ji Tian later, he won't have a chance. And, if I were Lu Ming, I would definitely do the same. Many people seem to have guessed the result. In a while, Lu Ming would definitely rush down the stage and admit defeat. The Doyen continued to draw numbers. Lu Ming against a skinny youth from the Yu family. The 2 of them stepped on the stage. Brat, let me deal with you. The skinny youth was smug. He also thought that Lu Ming would take the initiative to rush down the stage and admit defeat. Otherwise, if he met Ji Tian in the next round, wouldn't Lu Ming be finished? Therefore, he boldly rushed toward Lu Ming and pounced toward Lu Ming. Then, he saw a fist rapidly enlarging in front of his eyes. Following that, it heavily bombarded the bridge of his nose. Gotcha! The skinny youth's nose was broken. With a miserable scream, his body flew out a few hundred meters and fell on the stage. Many people were stunned. They originally thought that Lu Ming would take the initiative to rush down the stage and admit defeat. They didn't expect that Lu Ming would directly make a move. Maybe he wants to save face and wants to win a round before admitting defeat. If his luck is bad and he meets Ji Tian in the next round, he will regret it. Some people sneered. Shwa! Lu Ming's figure moved and rushed to the skinny youth's side. With a kick, he directly kicked the skinny youth off the stage. Lu Ming won this round. However, the people from the Luo family only shook their heads. Whether he won or not, the final result wouldn't change. Like this, the Luo family only had Lu Ming left. As for the Yu family, they only had 6 people left. The competition continued. But now, they only needed to draw a number from the Yu family. Whoever drew a number would fight with Lu Ming. Yu family, number 47. A senior elder announced. A young woman from the Yu family stepped onto the stage. Many people began to guess again, guessing whether Lu Ming would admit defeat in this round, because the longer it went on, the higher the probability of him encountering Ji Tian. Many people thought that Lu Ming wanted to win the match and then admit defeat to save some face. However, Lu Ming directly attacked and blasted the young woman off the battle stage in 2 moves. Still not admitting defeat? You really want to save face? Let's see how he regrets it when we meet Ji Tian later. Some people sneered. The competition continued, and the next person was still not Ji Tian. Naturally, he was easily defeated by Lu Ming. It was unknown if it was luck, but the next few people weren't Ji Tian. They were all defeated by Lu Ming. On the Yu family's side, there were only 2 people left. They were Ji Tian and Ji Peng. Lu Ming still hasn't admitted defeat. Could it be that he really wants to fight with Ji Tian? At this point, some people had already changed their minds. Because Lu Ming didn't admit defeat, if this continued, he would definitely meet Ji Tian. How is this possible? If he fights with Ji Tian, he won't even have the chance to escape. He will definitely be killed. I don't know what he is thinking. He is really crazy. Everyone was discussing. As for Ji Peng, his expression turned ugly. If Lu Ming didn't admit defeat, he wouldn't meet him in the next round, right? He kept praying in his heart that Lu Ming would meet Ji Tian in the next round. Unfortunately, things didn't go as he wished. Yu family, number 9, Ji Peng, come out. The senior elder took out a number and shouted. Damn it! Ji Peng roared in his heart. Why is it him? Why can't Lu Ming meet Ji Tian? Many people were speechless. Lu Ming's luck was too good. It was strange that he couldn't meet Ji Tian. Lu Ming stepped onto the stage, looked at Ji Peng, smiled faintly, and said, "Come down." Ji Peng's face was gloomy as he stepped onto the stage. He looked at Lu Ming and said, "Lu Ming, I advise you to admit defeat. Otherwise, if you meet my big brother in the next round, you will die miserably." The current Ji Peng's heart was complicated. He naturally hoped that Lu Ming would meet Ji Tian and be killed by Ji Tian. However, if Lu Ming continued to fight, he would be miserable. You are actually thinking for me? I don't understand. Back then, I beat you up so badly. Lu Ming deliberately revealed a surprised expression. Ji Peng gritted his teeth and roared in his heart. If it wasn't for this round, would I be thinking for you? But now, he could only go against his heart and say, let bygones be bygones. I think you are still a talent. Quickly admit defeat. Admit defeat? Forget it. My plan is to beat you up, and then beat your elder brother up. Lu Ming smiled. He even extended his fist and gestured with it. Lunatic. Ji Peng roared, then suddenly turned around and rushed down the stage. However, Lu Ming's figure flashed and he caught up with him. He slapped his palm down and lightning flashed. It was like a huge net that shrouded Ji Peng. Ji Peng tried his best to resist, but when the lightning fell, all of his attacks collapsed. Buzz buzz, Ji Peng's body was covered in lightning, which looked like small black snakes swimming around. Slap! Lu Ming then slapped down on Ji Peng's face. Ji Peng screamed and spat out blood mixed with teeth. More lightning covered Ji Peng's body. His hair stood straight up and white smoke came out of his 7 orifices as if he was electrocuted. It was extremely miserable. In the stands, Yu Ning, Ji Tian, and Ji Tian's father, the commander-in-chief, had ugly expressions. In their view, Lu Ming humiliated Ji Peng like this, which was equivalent to slapping their faces. How did he treat Ji Peng? Wait a moment, I will return it 10 times. Ji Tian gritted his teeth. Lu Ming grabbed Ji Peng's neck and walked to the edge of the stage step by step. Then, he threw Ji Peng down the stage. He casually stretched out a finger, pointed at Ji Tian, hooked his finger, and said, "Come, King Physique." Swish! Ji Tian couldn't bear it anymore and rushed up the stage. Anyway, he was the only one left from the Yu family. There was no need to draw a number. This Lu Ming really wants to fight with Ji Tian. Where did he get the courage? It's strange. Could it be that Lu Ming still has a trump card? This is a fair battle. He is not allowed to use his emperor weapon. He doesn't have a king body. How can he have a trump card? Many people were discussing. They couldn't guess what Lu Ming was planning. With Ji Tian's combat strength, Lu Ming would definitely die if he went against Ji Tian. Why didn't he admit defeat earlier? Why did he persist until now? Could it be that he wanted to humiliate Ji Peng? But there was no need to put his life on the line. Chapter 2038. Ji Tian's eyes were extremely cold. 6 worlds appeared and a terrifying aura charged toward Lu Ming continuously like a gale. Now, you won't have the chance to admit defeat. Ji Tian said coldly. Who said I'm going to admit defeat? How ridiculous. I didn't say I was going to admit defeat from the beginning. Can you stop making wild guesses? Lu Ming curled his lips. That's great. I'll make you kneel on the battle stage and beg for mercy. Ji Tian said coldly. He stepped forward, and the 6 worlds moved with him. He didn't seem to be fast, but in fact, he was extremely fast. In an instant, he arrived in front of Lu Ming. Boom! With a punch, one of the blood prison worlds blasted out with Ji Tian's fist. It was like a sea of blood enveloping Lu Ming. The smell of blood filled the air. Asterisk sizzle, asterisk Lu Ming's fist sizzled, and a black lightning cauldron spread out. He also punched out. Boom! The 2 fists collided, and the sky was like a huge drum, shaking violently. Circles of lightning and a sea of blood burst out in all directions. A figure swayed, stepping on the battle stage and retreating. The person who retreated was actually Ji Tian. The scene suddenly quieted down. Countless people were dumbfounded, and some looked at the battle stage in disbelief. Lu Ming actually pushed Ji Tian back in a head-on confrontation. How was this possible? What was going on? Lu Ming's cultivation was obviously at the peak of the absolute saint realm, which was weaker than Ji Tian. Moreover, he didn't have a king body. How could he push Ji Tian back? This was simply unbelievable. Ji Tian, don't be careless. Use more strength. At this moment, the Yu family head's voice resounded throughout the entire place. He meant that Ji Tian was too careless and didn't use his full strength. That was why he was pushed back by Lu Ming. Many people nodded. That should be the case. Otherwise, how could Lu Ming push Ji Tian back? However, Ji Tian's eyes were incomparably dignified, and his heart was in turmoil. Others thought that he was careless, but only he knew how strong Lu Ming's punch was. His saint energy was endless and was not any weaker than his. Furthermore, the power of Lu Ming's spiritual body was even more terrifying. He had indeed not used his full strength just now, but Lu Ming's strength had indeed shaken him. 6 Hell Demonic Fist. Ji Tian let out a long howl. The 6 worlds burst forth with different auras, transforming into a terrifying fist force that soared towards Lu Ming in an overwhelming manner. His aura was indeed much stronger than before. Good timing. Lu Ming didn't retreat at all. He took a step forward and punched out again. Every punch was filled with lightning, wrapping around Lu Ming's fists. His fists were like lightning. Bang! Bang! The 2 of them fought speed with speed. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Qi energy shot out and rumbled continuously. However, Lu Ming did not show the slightest sign of weakness. Instead, he vaguely had the upper hand. This time, everyone was stunned. Even the people from the Yu and Luo families were shocked. Even the patriarchs of the two families and some true emperors were extremely shocked. He didn't have a king body and his cultivation was one level lower. However, he could actually fight against Ji Tian. This kind of combat strength was unheard of even for them. So strong. Luo Xian, Wu Shi, and the others were dumbfounded at first. However, their eyes soon lit up. They knew that Lu Ming had a king body and could control the King Dao Law. Now that he could fight against Ji Tian without using the King Dao Law, he could really win if he used the King Dao Law. They originally thought that there was no hope, but now, they saw a glimmer of hope. Yu Ning's expression was extremely ugly. She was unhappy because Lu Ming was one of her people at the beginning. However, he was kicked out by her later on. It's useless no matter how strong he is. What I want is the final victory. Ji Tian still hasn't used the light of law. He will definitely win. I chose Ji Tian. I'm right. Yu Ning warned herself in her heart. Boom! Lu Ming and Ji Tian exchanged another blow. Both of them retreated. The difference was that Lu Ming retreated 5 steps while Ji Tian retreated 7 steps. Ji Tian's face was especially gloomy. He had a king body, but he actually fought with Lu Ming like this. Today, he had lost a lot of face. Today, he must use Lu Ming's blood to wash away his shame. Lu Ming, your combat strength is indeed beyond my expectations. However, you will still lose, shouted Ji Tian. The light of the heavenly laws spread out and surrounded him, making his aura even stronger. Boom! With the support of the light of law, Ji Tian's momentum increased greatly. He punched out and 6 worlds moved with his fist, pressing down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming swung his fist, colliding with Ji Tian's attack once again. Bang! Lu Ming seemed to be hit by a terrifying force, his figure drifting back. What a pity! The Luo family's experts sighed. If Ji Tian did not cultivate the light of law, their Luo family's chances of winning this battle were very high. However, Ji Tian cultivated the light of law. Unless the Son of Heaven appeared, or someone from the younger generation stepped into the quasi-emperor realm, no one would be Ji Tian's opponent. However, how many Son of Heaven were there in the entire land of infinite demons? There were no quasi-emperors below the age of 50 in their Yura kingdom. The others also shook their heads slightly, thinking that Lu Ming would lose for sure. Kneel down. Ji Tian gained the upper hand in one move. His momentum was like a rainbow as he continued to press down on Lu Ming. He wanted to defeat Lu Ming in one go. The light of law is indeed powerful. Lu Ming curled his lips, his expression was still very calm. At this moment, he raised his hand and pointed out a finger. There was no black lightning in this finger. Instead, it was replaced by endless runes. Roar! The endless runes formed a true dragon. The true dragon roared and pounced toward Ji Tian. Boom! The true dragon's dragon claw tore apart Ji Tian's fist force. The dense runes spread toward Ji Tian. Ji Tian roared in shock. The 6 worlds kept shaking. All kinds of auras erupted, blocking the endless runes. Monarch Dao Law, you have the monarch body. Ji Tian's roar resounded throughout the entire place. Silence. The scene fell into dead silence. Everyone was dumbfounded and in disbelief. Monarch body, Lu Ming actually has the monarch body? Then why did he use the demonic thunder law just now? One person controlled 2 types of laws. How was that possible? He was not a martial emperor. Many people found that their brains were a little short-circuited. However, looking at the dense runes surrounding Lu Ming's body, they clearly realized that Lu Ming really controlled the monarch Dao Law and really had the monarch body. The array Dao law of the monarch Dao law, haha. The Luo family head suddenly laughed loudly. Everything that happened today was really beyond his expectations. Lu Ming actually had the monarch body. Just now, he was already so strong without using the monarch Dao law. Now that he used the monarch Dao law, how strong would he be? Xian you already knew that Lu Ming has the monarch body, right? The Lu family head looked at Luo Xian. Luo Xian nodded and said, although I already knew that he has the monarch body, I didn't know that his combat strength is so strong. Chapter 2039. Crack. Yu Ning crushed the white jade golden cup in her hand, her eyes cold. Lu Ming was actually an imperial body. She did not expect this at all. If she knew that Lu Ming was an imperial body and had such strong combat strength, she would have thought twice. Ji Tian will definitely win. Yu Ning roared in her heart, admonishing herself. However, her clenched fists showed how nervous she was. At this moment, Ji Peng had woken up and was also shocked. King body, there's nothing great about it. Lu Ming said lightly. Lu Ming, don't think that you can defeat me just because you have mastered the law of kings. Without the law of light, everything is in vain. Kill! Ji Tian roared and attacked Lu Ming with all his might. The law of six hells, the law of light, and the divine arts were all activated to the extreme by Ji Tian. Let's end this. Lu Ming whispered and pointed out another finger. Runes filled the air and another true dragon was formed, pouncing towards Ji Tian. This true dragon contained 3 scrolls of the 9 scrolls of Array Dao. Lu Ming only used the illusory spirit scroll and the seal scroll in the previous attack. Lu Ming used the destruction scroll, illusory spirit scroll, and seal scroll in this attack. The power of this attack was close to that of the chaotic calamity finger. Boom! When the true dragon collided with Ji Tian, a terrifying force tore Ji Tian's fist radiance apart. Endless runes rushed towards Ji Tian. Ji Tian's body shook violently and he was thrown back. He vomited blood in the air. He tried his best to resist the seal of the runes. However, Lu Ming was already close to him. Then, he pointed out another finger. This time, it was not a true dragon but a giant elephant. The giant elephant's body was like a small mountain. Its legs were like heavenly pillars as it stomped towards Ji Tian. Bam! An elephant leg stepped on Ji Tian's face. Ji Tian was instantly stunned. His body was like a huge rock, heavily smashing into the fighting ring, causing the entire fighting ring to rumble. Ji Tian was lying on the fighting ring, his body twitching and blood gushing out of his mouth. Ji Tian was defeated, beaten into a dead dog. Everyone at the scene widened their eyes, unable to react for a moment. Ji Tian used to be known as the #1 expert in the Yura Kingdom. Now that he had cultivated the light of law, he was even more powerful. However, such strength had been defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's cultivation was even lower. His cultivation was even lower, and he had yet to cultivate the light of law, yet he was able to defeat Ji Tian. It was truly inconceivable. Lu Ming stepped out, coming to Ji Tian's side. Although Ji Tian was seriously injured, he still glared at Lu Ming fiercely, wishing he could tear Lu Ming into pieces. What are you looking at? I've already said that there's nothing great about a king body, and there's nothing great about the light of law. Lu Ming sneered, revealing a faint disdain. Then, he kicked Ji Tian's face, sending him flying off the fighting ring. Lu Ming did not kill Ji Tian. After all, this was the Yura Kingdom, and Ji Tian's father and many experts of the Yu family were present. If Lu Ming killed Ji Tian, they would not let him go. Now that Tiandi's physical body did not have enough energy, and his goal was to go to the ancient devil nation, there was no need to cause more trouble. Good, good. Ha ha ha. The head of the Luo family and many experts of the Luo family stood up, laughing heartily. The Luo family had won. For the next 10,000 years, the Luo family would be in charge of the Yura Kingdom. Previously, when Ji Tian had displayed the light of law, they had thought that the Luo family would lose for sure. They were already in despair, and they had planned to wait for another 10,000 years before making a comeback. However, they had never expected that Lu Ming would suddenly erupt. First, he displayed a powerful strength, then he displayed the King Dao Law, defeating Ji Tian in one fell swoop. How could they not be happy with such an unexpected result? How could they not laugh heartily? Luo Xian, Wu Shi, and the others were also full of smiles. On the other hand, the people of the Yu family were the complete opposite. They had thought that they would win, but in the end, they had lost in the hands of a single person. That kid. Some experts of the Yu family, as well as Ji Tian's father, looked coldly at Lu Ming. It was all because of Lu Ming that they had lost. Where did this kid come from? I have never heard of such a person before. Someone said unwillingly. Everyone fell silent. Bang! Princess Yuning's jade-like hands were as white as jade. At this moment, the veins on her jade-like hands were bulging. She had even crushed the handle of her chair. She was furious. Lu Ming was originally her guest, but she had personally chased him out of the princess residence. Sister Yuning, I really have to thank you. At this moment, Luo Xian looked at Yuning, and his crisp voice rang out. Many people were stunned, not knowing what Luo Xian meant. Luo Xian, shut up! Yuning shouted. Why? Are you afraid that I will lose face if I say it? But I have to say it. The corners of Luo Xian's lips curled up slightly. I heard that Lu Ming used to be Sister Yuning's guest. However, he was personally chased out of the eldest princess mansion. Therefore, he came to seek refuge with me. What? At the scene, everyone who didn't know what was going on was stunned. Lu Ming was originally the princess guest, but he had been chased out of the princess residence by the princess. Only then did Lu Ming seek refuge with the little princess. Yuning, this was tantamount to giving up the victory on a silver platter. If Lu Ming was in the princess residence, there would be no suspense in this competition. The Yu family would definitely win. Yuning's face turned even uglier. As for the Yu family, their faces also turned ugly. There was actually such a thing. Moreover, I heard that it was because Lu Ming offended the Ji family. In order to stabilize the Ji family, you chased Lu Ming out of the princess residence. Perhaps in your eyes, the Ji family, or Ji Tian, is more important than Lu Ming. Am I right, Sister Yuning? Luo Xian continued to speak, revealing her two canine teeth. She was full of cunning. Yuning's expression made her very happy. So that's how it was. Everyone was enlightened. It turned out that Lu Ming had offended the Ji family. In order to stabilize the Ji family, the princess had chased Lu Ming out. After all, at that time, the princess needed Ji Tian's help to win the competition. At that time, in the eyes of the princess, Ji Tian's value was far above Lu Ming's. But what was the truth? It was Yuning who had personally given the victory to the Luo family. As for Ji Tian, who she valued, he had been beaten to a pulp by Lu Ming. How ironic was this? The Yu family's experts, Ji Tian's father, and Ji Tian's uncle all had ugly expressions. Sister Yuning, I wonder what you are thinking now. Do you feel any regret? Luo Xian's voice rang out again. Enough! Yuning shouted. She suddenly stood up and coldly glanced at Lu Ming. Then, she soared into the sky. This caused Luo Xian to laugh.